Hello, and welcome to Biography of a Full Body Tattoo. I am your host, Lucien Gray. In these episodes, I will take you through my life and my journey that I've been currently endeavored on, with the goal to cover my entire body with tribal tattoos. And in these videos you will get to know me and the reasonings on why I have chosen to do this, and you will be able to walk with me through the experiences that I had to undertake in getting each of these pieces done. Now, these series are going to be broken up into two parts. The first series is going to be videos of me talking about tattoos that I have already gotten. And series 2 is going to be videos of during my processes of getting future tattoos. So, I hope you all enjoy watching. In this first episode, we are going to go through a little bit of an overview on tattoos to help familiarize yourself with tattoos as a whole, in case you don't have tattoos and you're just curious about the whole idea, or maybe you do have tattoos and you're just interested in hearing about me and my endeavors in doing this for the lifelong journey. So let's jump right in. Let's start off with the most basic one. What is a tattoo? Basically, in the most strictest sense, getting a tattoo is, frankly speaking, inserting ink underneath your skin to change the pigment. And of course, it's a body modification. Changes the way your skin looks. Of course, when did all this come? When did tattoos start? Well, I can only say they started a long time ago. And tattoos are part of so many cultures. I'm not sure if there is a culture that has not had incorporated tattoo in it in some way or another. Now the question of why, we'll get to that eventually. The reasonings behind getting into tattoos are wide on so many different levels. But a little bit of the history of a tattoo. Because we all know that in modern society in America, for the longest time it was this taboo thing. It was not something that was regularly brought over into the Americas right away. Of course, they saw it on a lot of the native tribes when we came to the Americas, but a lot of the people who came over, the English folk, were not. They were not heavily involved in tattoos like some people are in other cultures of the world. And of course, in more recently, there's a lot of stereotypes associated with tattoos, but we all know that stereotypes are just an idea, but based off of a lack of information. It's like a brand. It's a negative branding you can put on somebody without actually knowing the true reasons. A blind eye, a blind title for somebody. Hopefully we can break some of those stereotypes during the courses of watching these videos. So I hope to accomplish that. The interesting thing is that in a lot of the older cultures, not just the tribes, but older cultures of the world, which are still around today, they all have different reasonings for getting tattoos, on them. And I'll go through a lot of those reasons right now. But the most basic reasonings that have ever been around for tattoos was, respect, strength, and loyalty. Loyalty to your people, your religion, strength in yourself and your body and your mind, and respect from your people. So let's get into more of the reasons why, and you'll understand on where this is all really, it'll start to fit it, the pieces will start to fit together, and you'll start to understand more about what I'm really trying to talk about. So, why? We'll start with remembrance and descriptive. Tattoos, a lot of people get tattoos, especially in the modern culture. People get tattoos to remember an event that happened in their life, something, and they wanted to immortalize that, whatever happened to them on their body forever, so they can always remember it, and it has such a good impact on them that they wanted to immortalize it on them forever. And it doesn't have to be an event, it could also be a person. Maybe a person had such an influence on somebody in their life, they wanted to get a remembrance of them permanently on them through the form of a tattoo. The idea of putting a picture on your skin which will last forever, essentially. Descriptive, telling a story about somebody. A lot of times people get these pictures, they'll tell a story about the person, as if to tell a story without words. If you see a picture on somebody, it may tell you something about that person. That's most of that idealism is birthed in the more modern cultures around these last century and so. If we go to more of the older cultures, a lot of times they got it for their beliefs. They got tattoos for their beliefs. Maybe it was a religious symbol or a religious reason for getting a tattoo. Spiritually, spiritual reasons. There were some cultures where you got a tattoo which would symbolize your loyalty to your faith, and it would it would help take you to the right place in the afterlife. Devotion, admiration, for your own particular beliefs. Next, intimidation. Now, intimidation has a lot to do with the older tribes of the world. A lot of them covered their warriors with tattoos in order to intimidate the other tribes. They're also very good for distinguishing marks. In the older tribes in the world, they distinguish themselves through their tattoos. So you look at all the different tribes in the world, all the different tribes have a certain style, but they're all different depending on what tribe you're with. And a lot of the warriors would get tattoos to intimidate, not just enemies, but perhaps prey. If you were able to intimidate your whatever you were trying to hunt, perhaps they would be less likely to attack if they were unsure of what you were, or if the tattoos would intimidate the animals, and they would be able to catch them, easier, get their job done better. Intimidation, just to show off. The next one, attraction. Now, attraction has been through all of the cultures. If you talk about in the tribal aspect, attraction, a lot of women would get tattoos to show that they were of age to be a wife and they wanted to attract a male, and so they would get a tattoo that would increase their chances of finding a mate, which is very interesting. That idea has changed in the more modern aspect, but if you talk to some people, they'll tell you that yeah, I got these tattoos because they make me a more attractive person. I know that there's some subsets of people that will tell you that nowadays. But even in the other cultures, in the other older cultures, more civilized cultures, people still got tattoos as a form of you know, cosmetics to make them more attractive. In more modern times, we can go even more specifically and say that people have gotten tattoos in a truly cosmetic fashion, such as finding lines in their eyes or around the mouth. Not pictures or designs like most typical tattoos are, but I'm talking about tattoos that actually enhance your features. There's even people who have gone bald, but they wanted to give the illusion that they still had like a buzzed head, and so they would get tattoo to look like hair follicles coming out of your head. Very interesting. So people would do that so that they would permanently look like they had a buzzed head instead of looking bald. So that's very interesting. So that kind of cosmetic attitude has given birth to another reason for using tattoo in a modern society. Next, distinguishing. Now we kind of talked about distinguish in the intimidation part. You know, tribes got different forms, different styles of tattoos to distinguish them from everyone else. Now, if you want to go deeper and more into the more older culture and the modern culture, we can say that distinguishing marks could have both positive and negative sides to them. You know, the positive sides was, of course, in the more modern culture, people wanted to distinguish themselves differently than everyone else. So they got tattoos to do that. But in the negative aspect, forceful tattoos have been done in the past, usually in the older cultures, or in the older times, a couple centuries ago. People, slaves would get tattoos as a form of identification. Concentration camps, the people who went into those would get a tattoo as a form of identification, usually in the form of like a number. Sometimes even convicts got tattooed. If you're an enemy of the state, maybe they would tattoo as a form of branding you so that everyone would know that you have committed a crime. You know, and for the rest of your life, you would have that on yourself. Now, those are all pretty vague reasonings. Now, I'll get into my reasonings at the end, so let's just continue for now. Risks of getting tattoos. Of course, there's risks because a tattoo is, like I said, it's inserting ink under your skin. Now, usually it's done with, more modernly it's done with needles. But back in the day with the tribes, it was done with maybe sharpened bones, or even sometimes they would slice the pattern into the skin of somebody and then rub into the skin the ink or whatever material that they were using in order to permanently modify the person's body. And they did it that way. But more modernly, people do it with needles, and they use a tattoo machine which vibrates up and down a needle, and then it shoves ink under your skin. And so because of that, tattoos are an open wound. You know, you're breaking the skin, and so that of course you bleed. And of course, whenever you break the skin, you open yourself to the possibility of infections. And so the risks for tattoos: you can get infections, you can contact diseases from whoever's doing it to you if they're not clean. And so it is very important that you are clean when you're doing this. I find it a very strongly believe that this is a medical procedure, and it should be not taken lightly at all. It should definitely be done in a very proper fashion with somebody that you can trust. and anybody who's performing it hopefully is smart doing it as well. And of course, some people want to know, are tattoos removable? Well, they are, but I'm really not here to talk about the way to remove tattoos. If you want to know about that, you can look that up on your own time. There is a way to remove the image of a tattoo from under your skin, to change back the pigment, but I'm not going to get into that right now. If you're interested, you can go find that information on your own. Now I want to get more into the reasons why I personally started this long endeavor, this long trek to start covering my entire body with tribal tattoos. Now, tribal is a good word. It's a good symbolic reference to not just that's the title of or the what people call what I get. You know, the black patterns, which usually have some sort of common idea going. Like I said, each tribe has their own distinct kind of tattoos, and so I have my own distinct kind of tattoos, which I'm following the same pattern all over my body. So as if this is my own tribe, you know, the tribe of me. But really, you know, a tribe is just a group of people who are in a community together, living a life and just trying to live a life. And in the most vague sense, that is all that I'm trying to do. I'm just trying to live my own life and, you know, get through it with as much, you know, joy and happiness as I possibly can. And tattoos are helping with that. Now, like I said, in the tribal aspects of getting tattoos, now this is where I want to go a little bit deeper into the tribal reasons why the tribes got them. A lot of times it was rites of passage, and I took that myself as a reasoning. You know, my rites of passage. As you'll see in the coming videos, I'll talk about the different tattoos, and sometimes it was a really big endeavor that I went through. It really changed me. I went from, you know, one mindset into another mindset through the tattoo. So it was really a rite of passage. It passed me through a part of my life into the next stage. And next, in the tribes, a tattoo is also representation of your movement within the tribe. So let's say that you know, the little boys in the tribe, they eventually go and become a young adult. Maybe in some tribes, that little boy would get a tattoo to symbolize that he went through into the next stage of evolution in the tribe, and he's now a young man, and he has more responsibility, and then he's going to go and continue learning about whatever he needs to be learning about for whatever he's going to be doing for the tribe. And if I continue with that, from a young adult into the next stage, like let's say you go from, you know, you were decided to be a warrior, and so when you finally there was going to be a ritual to take place when you go from a young adult to actually joining the warriors of the tribe, and the ceremony may involve getting a tattoo. As a way to really say this person is past that phase into the new phase where he's actually a warrior of the tribe. And then they can go off and decide, you know, depending on what tribe they're in, maybe they'll start a process where they heavily tattoo him as the way to distinguish him as a warrior, as well as add maybe the intimidation onto him through the tattoos. You know, and then within the tribes, maybe they would get a tattoo to represent a particular belief. Maybe when they reach a certain age, they were to get a tattoo to represent their tribal cultures. And of course, like I said, it was like a title. It was like a title in the tribe. You know, maybe a certain tattoo or a certain ritual that they did gave them the title of warrior or cook. I mean, the cooks would get something particular and to represent that they were a cook. And of course, they would go all the way up to the village elder, all that good stuff. And yeah, for me, the tattoos for me really represent increasing stages of evolution within my own life, as well as myself gaining my own power and wisdom. Every tattoo I get stronger as a person, not just because it strengthens my body, because I could endure the tattoo. It is a painful procedure depending on where you get it on your body. Now, it's also a very interesting aspect about tattoos and the human body is that everybody feels pain differently, and everybody feels pain on different parts of their body differently. And so I also feel very privileged to start this journey, and of course I'm very excited to explain all this to you through the videos and talk to you about how each of the tattoos felt differently for me and the experiences that I've gone through. So, strengthens the body and mind. The mind, it strengthens your mind. Being able to go through an experience like that brings you to a new enlightened state of mind. And I believe that wholeheartedly. While I'm getting my tattoos, the more I get, the more closer I feel to myself. The more I understand myself, and the more I understand my mind. I get closer to my own serenity. The closer I get to completely covering my body, the closer I get to really my own solitary form. And I'm very, very excited to know what's going to happen when I actually finish my entire full body tattoo. But there's still a lot to go at the current time. Obviously this video is, like I said, the intro to Season 1, which there's going to be about 20 episodes talking about all the tattoos that I've gotten currently. And then once you get to Season 2, once we get to Season 2, you'll see that you'll have a better idea of my current progress, and you'll be able to travel with me through my experiences on getting my future tattoos. So, hope everybody's very excited about that as much as I am. Now, if I wanted to go back and say something else about history, then I have to mention that I did mention earlier that tattoos weren't really brought over into the Americas right away. I mean, it was already here because of the tribes, but while it evolved within the last few centuries, it's changed drastically. It was always been a taboo thing, getting a tattoo. I think a lot of times it was a negative thing, but then slowly, surely started to become a positive thing. Now, a lot of people wanted to really try and help that out and try to educate a lot of the Americans about tattoos. And the one person who was known to be one of the the great fathers of helping educate people in tattoos and tribal rituals was a gentleman called Fakir Musafar, and he got really popular in his age, teaching about exactly what I'm trying to go through right now. The who, whats, and whys about tattoos, and why we shouldn't be afraid of them. A lot of people still do not understand tattoos, and hopefully, after watching this first episode, you have a little bit of more of an understanding on tattoos as a whole, and understand that tattoos are everywhere. They're in all different cultures, and it's not a negative thing. Through my life, many people have said, "Why have I done this?" You know, and a lot of them have worried for me because they think that it's a negative thing, but it's not a negative thing. Tattoos are very much a positive thing. My tattoos are not to be feared, or they shouldn't give you any doubt. They should show you that I'm a stronger person now than I was back in the day. They should be living proof that I've gone through these evolutionary stages in my life to where I am today. As for myself, to help really give you a more idea about that, my tattoos give me strength to keep going on. You know, when I didn't have tattoos, and even the places that I don't have tattoos now, they really feel empty, and they don't feel quite right. When I get tattoos, I feel a lot more complete, and I feel stronger with myself, and happy. Happy. I feel very happy while I'm getting more of my full body tattoo, and through the course of watching these videos, I would hope that in time you'll start to have a better understanding of how these tattoos have influenced me in a positive way. And in the long run, I hope that that over the course of the entire seasons of these videos, I only hope to accomplish the one goal of to help teach the world that tattoos are not something to be put down, but they're something to be cherished and something to be loved and respected. And on that note, I think we are going to close it for the first episode, and we'll take it back up in the next episode, which will be talking about my first tattoo that I've ever gotten. We'll talk about around the time frame of when I got that, and my experience getting it, and how that changed my life forever. Until we meet again, this has been Lucien Gray. Thank you for watching.